Good morning, guys. I am back with the Dahlia project part 2. It is early November and we finally had a killing frost. We have not had a frost all this time. So today I am continuing the work that I have started on cutting down and removing all the stakes. And then depending on how warm it is today, it's in like the low 30s this morning, hence the hat. But I'm gonna just keep working on cleaning up and getting the trash out, and then I will start digging up the dahlias, checking out how many tubers I got, and starting to prep them for packing and storage, which will be, I think, part 3 of this Dahlia project series. So let's do a little tour of the Dahlia graveyard. And it would have been great had this happened closer to Halloween, because then I could have done my spooky Halloween music. All right, let's see. All right, so excuse the piles of trash everywhere. I'm just cutting I'm cutting them down to about 6 inches. Here's one that I've already cut. And the weeds have really started to come back with a vengeance. So I will have to do better next year of not letting the weeds take over. So what I learned from Deborah at the Bear Creek workshop is that ideally you would let them kind of chill in the ground for about a week. So I'm going to dig one up and kind of see what it looks like. But she also did say for like our region to get them out of the ground by the 15th. So I may have to just kind of pull them this weekend, because getting closer to the Thanksgiving holiday, I have lots of stuff to work on. And I honestly thought that we would have some cooler weather in October, and I would be working on this in the around the week of Halloween. So, yeah, I mean, you can see they were still thriving up until I didn't have blooms, because the sun, the sunlight is weaker, heading into the fall. So they didn't get quite as much sun as they had been getting. And then once this is all pulled up, I will be pulling the drip lines just from this section, since I don't know what I'm planting in here. And these are slightly heavier drip than what I use. These are 12-inch spacing on the drip holes, and I use 18 everywhere else. So I will be pulling this up and rolling it up and storing it for wherever the dahlias end up next year. And then exciting stuff, we are confirming our tree work. So we will be having many trees removed. It's simultaneously exciting and kind of makes you nauseous, because it's a lot of money, but it needs to get done. We've been really worried about a couple of the trees, and we don't want any limbs to come down, since we do live in the city. We don't want to squish anybody's cars or, any people. Because I'm a really impatient person, I did dig at this tuber clump last night in the dark, and I can't remember. Some of them are labeled, some of them are not, like stamp labeled, but it looks like I don't know if I should do this today. I this is why I shouldn't do it in the dark, because I broke a chunk off. But yeah, so I'm not sure if I'm going to tackle it today after it warms up a bit. It's not supposed to be quite as cold later today and tonight. But I'm going to go inside and have coffee and just brush up on my that's broken. brush up on my tuber prep and storage notes and look online just to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I think I have everything I need to get them put away. And I feel like part of me feels like I should probably leave them in the ground for another week because it just got cold. But at the same time, I have house guests coming, I have Thanksgiving, I have so much Christmas stuff to do, mostly for my own house, because there's some things that I want to do this year. So yeah, so I'm not really sure. I have some bulbs to plant. I have to dig out. The frost finally killed some annuals. Just have a lot of stuff to do. So I'm not entirely sure I can wait a week to get started on this project, since in between all my regular work of working on spring wedding stuff, I have to clean up this whole crazy yard and get ready for the tree guys, and then get ready to put down, I'm not kidding, like a recycling center's worth of cardboard that we're going to use as sheet mulch to start suppressing some of the weeds around this joint. All right, guys, so I have got all the dahlias out of the ground, and let me fix the focus. Okay, so there they all are. And so here's some things I've learned, since I learned a lot in the growing video. Number one, the mother tuber disintegrates. That means that it's no longer there. And guess what? That was the one that had the name on it. So I don't have a lot of names to pull from. Let's see if I can find one. So thankfully, because I've done my map and my planning and all of that good stuff, I'm just boxing them up by section. And I think I'm gonna end up with 5 or 6 sections, and I have 12 crates, and I'll just label them left, right, front, back. And next year, when the flowers bloom, I will put a label on them. Because that's probably what I should have done. But I just thought that I could use my cool map. I really hope to have cleared more space, and I'll play with the layout. But if I plant them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections like I did on my map, I should, I'll at least get them to bloom, and then I can label them. I don't think that in the future I'm going to be as compulsive about the bloom order, since they all bloomed at whatever time. So I think maybe next year, just putting them into some nice, easy to manage couple rows, drip line, and making a lot of labels as I cut flowers. So next up, I'm going to start washing, and then I'm going to put everything into the garage to start drying out. So what I was reading online was that you could cut them and leave them in the ground after the first frost. And I should correct, we didn't really have a hard frost last night. We just did our first true frost. The plants hadn't died yet. So today everything was black. So some people recommend leaving them in the ground after you cut them down for a few weeks, but I don't really have time for that. So I am going to, I'm just gonna start washing them and letting them dry out, and then I will hopefully get them packed up in another week or 2. So I don't know a lot about how long they're going to take to dry. All right, so here they all are, ready to be washed. Let me see if I can find one where the mother tuber. So there's one that has a name on it, but I'll have to let it dry out before I can figure out what that was. Let's see. This is not the time to start messing them up. Definitely some smaller tubers than I was anticipating. I was kind of hoping I don't know. I thought this would be more of like a wow moment, but it just looks like more skinny, teeny tubers. So, hey guys. So, I finished washing all the dahlia tubers, removing dirt from them, and now they are just drying in the garage. It seems like they're going to need to dry for a few days or more before I put them into the packing crates, but as the packing crates are full of glassware from my last event, yeah, I am going to have to find someplace to put that before I pack them in these crates. So let's look around at the different types of clumps. So it's been about 2 days since I dug and washed them, and they still do not look like, I think they need to dry out and toughen up, but not necessarily get like desiccated. But like this looks still like kind of damp. So I guess part 3 of the Dahlia project will be my final thoughts on what I learned and packing them in the crates with newsprint, and I'm just going to do peat moss. So there are lots of suggestions online for how you can pack and store your dahlias, but for my first year of storing them, I'm just going to keep it really simple. I have enough crates that I can pack them in clumps, so I'm not going to divide them this year. I'm going to wait because apparently it's easier to identify them for in the spring. All right guys, so that's part 2 of the Dahlia project, getting them dug and washed and ready for storage. So in a couple more weeks, when they are all dried out, I will show you how to pack them up and where I've decided to keep them. I'm starting to think that I might keep them in my walk-in cooler because it won't be on, and it keeps things about 20 degrees warmer, and I can kind of crack the door open, and I can, it has a thermometer in there, so I can kind of see what temperature it is. So that might be a possibility. Otherwise, there is a like attic crawl space up in the attic, but it's a little harder to control the temperature. So yeah, so still learning a lot with the dahlias, and I look forward to kind of wrapping this up and showing you guys part 3 hopefully in another couple weeks. All right, thanks for watching. See you next time.